think it's so important that we expose our students to government as soon in their lives as we can. So being able to visit the city council today is really a critical component in their growth and in their education. It's giving them an
How are you?
opportunity
You
to
left your
see
book.
bigger issues that they don't normally get to
Ella, you're
see,
welcome.
and also participate in a way that really engages what they've learned in school.
Good morning. How are you all today? Are you excited to be here? We're excited to have you. It's been a few years since we've been able, unfortunately, to have you all here in person, so we're very excited that you're here today. Um, what we're going to do now is we have many of our department directors here. We have a member of our city council, Councilmember Amy Caramba, District 1. We're going to take a moment to introduce ourselves to each of you and give you a little bit of our educational background and our career paths so you can kind of understand how we got into the roles and positions that we have here. So maybe we inspire some of you to be future local government folks or state government folks or federal government folks. So we're always encouraging our youth to participate in the programs and activities that we have here locally and stay educated and interested in everything else and all the other government items going around you. So my name is Arlene Hunter, and I'm the city manager. And I started with the city about 16 years ago. When I started with the city, I was the special events and park coordinator. Have any of you guys been to 4th of July event at Riverside Park? Celebrate Bonita, holiday in the park. That's how I started with the city. We were just renovating the band shell in 2005 at that time. I then had the opportunity to continue with the city in a promotion to the Director of Development Services. I did that when we had an economic downturn and we had many of our businesses that were leaving our community, and we were looking to recruit and retain the businesses that we had here. Then I had the opportunity that our assistant city manager was retiring, and I got to shadow him for a year before becoming assistant city manager. And then when our city manager retired in 2018, I was able to become city manager. I started my education, I grew up in Sanibel and went to school in Fort Myers and went to Florida State University. So I go like this, I don't go like this. And I stayed there for my master's degree, which is in urban and regional planning. Once I finished that, I worked for a city of Quincy and I worked for the state of Florida before coming back home to this area. It was an interesting opportunity to work at the state level as well. I got to work with the Commissioner of Education at the time. That position has since changed. It's an appointed position by the governor, so I was there with that transition. And then I had the opportunity to work in local government in the city of Quincy, which is about 20 miles west of Tallahassee. So what's given me an opportunity is I get to do many different things every day. I never know what the day is going to start with and what the day will end with. I might have a plan, but it doesn't always end that way. And you have to be able to adapt to whatever situation comes forward. You know, we didn't anticipate anything that would happen with the COVID pandemic, but we had to adapt and change regulations and rules quickly and make sure we were keeping the safety of our residents at the most during that process. So there was many rules and regulations we quickly had to put into place. Then as soon as we were able to release those rules and regulations, we did as quickly as we could to get folks back outside enjoying their parks and enjoying our public space. So that's a little bit about background of myself and how I became into this position. What I'd like to do now is introduce Councilwoman Amy Caramba. She's District 1, and she's going to give you a little bit of her background and how she became interested in becoming an elected official. The difference here is I'm appointed and Amy is elected by the public.
Good morning, everyone. It's so nice to see you here. I have two grandchildren, one of whom is about your age, so I feel like I'm coming home, and it's nice to know what perhaps my grandchild who's in Denver might be doing it today. I started out, first of all, I want to say that I'll tell you a little bit about my background. I come from an immigrant family. I'm a first-generation American. My parents spoke another language at home, so they relied upon we children to go to school and tell them how to run things and do things. It was a wonderful, rich experience, both culturally And their job was to go to work and put food on the table and take care of us, and our job was to go to school. So there were four of us. We all graduated from college. I went on and got a couple of extra degrees. I have a PhD in economics. I did some work in college for a while, teaching, a college teacher. And then I went into investments. I started my own investment advisory business. And when I retired, and then I came down to Florida. Actually, it was the first time I came to Florida was after I retired. When we were here for a few years, and I got involved with political activity in the community, and I said, gee, I don't like what's going on. I think I better get on the council. So one day I signed up to run for election, and I won. I was very surprised. I had never done anything political before, and it's been such a wonderful experience. It's both intellectually challenging. I always thought on the other side, I said, how hard could this be running a place, you know? And why do they always make the wrong decision? Because I know what's right, and they can't possibly know what's right. But when you get in this position, you understand that it's a much broader decision-making process. If you focus too much on the particular issue, you don't often come to the right conclusion. So I've learned so much in the 6 years of being on the council. I love it. I'm going to miss it when I get off in November because I'm term limited. But I think I'm going to retire for the third time, and this time I think it's for good. You know, I'm just going to go and have fun. But I'm so glad that we have a very active civic education in our state and certainly within our community. It's such an advantage. And when I went to school many, many, many years ago, we had a very active civic education. So we learned about education. So when I went to school, I could come home and tell my parents how the system worked because they weren't exposed to it. So you have a role in your family to be the font of information about what happens here in Bonita Springs and in Florida and in the state. So thanks for being good students. By the way, did you pass your civics exams or don't you know yet? Did you have one?
Oh, no, yeah. How do you guys feel about how you did?
Yeah, so was it fun to learn civics or was it boring? It was fun? Okay. Well, my background was in, when I went to college, I'm a physics and math major. And then, as I said, I got these degrees in economics. So I was never a linguist, and I think that's partially because we didn't really speak that much English at home. So I went the STEM situation where I didn't even know what STEM was at that point. So I was always good in math. So I don't know if that's the route you're taking, but whatever is your interest and your expertise, just enjoy it and learn as much as you can. And you can really do whatever you want to do. When my parents start raising us, they never thought we would graduate from college. They never thought we would get advanced degrees, but they gave us the tools to do what we wanted to do. And I'm so grateful for that. And I hope that those kinds of opportunities are pursued by each and every one of you. And thanks for coming.
Next, you're going to hear from Nicole Perino, our Parks and Recreation Director.
Good morning, everyone. As Arlene said, I am Nicole Perino, the Parks and Recreation Director, so I get to do the fun stuff, so they say. No, it is fun. As you know, my office is right behind where you all are. The community park that's right behind your middle school is where we have the rec center and the baseball fields, playgrounds, pool, so we have all the fun stuff that you guys get to enjoy and get to see every day. My background, I started with the city in 2008, actually running the recreation center. And as we progressed through the city, I was moved up to recreation manager and then parks and recreation director. So that's kind of my progression through the city. My college route, I went for my degree is in biological sciences and exercise physiology. So that's kind of my background and how it kind of goes into parks and recreation because we do sports and workout facilities, things like that. So that was my background as well as the biological sciences side of the parks themselves with the water and plantings and things like that. So I kind of have it all wrapped into one. Before that, I actually was a fitness director at a recreation facility. So my whole career has been in recreation. So that's been nice. 21 years now. I hate to say that, but anyway, it's fun. I love it. Working for the city has been fantastic, and working for this city in particular is a great place. And as Arlene said, as we come in every day and leave every night, it starts out one way and sometimes ends up completely different. So it does make it interesting and a great place to work. So I will pass it on to Lisa. You're next.
Good morning. My name is Lisa Robertson. I am the Director of Financial and Administrative Services. I'm also a math person. I'm also licensed by the state of Florida as an accountant. So I encourage you all, if you like math, try to take an accounting class, see if you like it, because it's a really good career. I love it. I think it's amazing. No one can operate anywhere without knowing their operational results. So, and it's kind of neat. It's a little bit of a balancing act too, with respect to everything that must be done in order to produce financial records. We here at the city do our own audit every year annually. By Florida statutes, we have to have that. And then we do a budget. So we help the departments project where they're going to be, what parks they're going to spend money in, what improvements they're going to do in the parks, what special events they're going to do, what roads we're going to construct. So those are an exciting way to help them develop their numbers and to help them compile it and present it to City Council. I'm originally from South Carolina, if you notice an accent. I came down here in college. I went to University of South Florida. I started out here. They had a campus here years ago, and then I transferred up to Tampa to do my postgraduate work. Again, I took my first accounting class in high school, 11th grade, and when I took it, everything clicked. It made sense to me. And I just enjoyed it. And then, then I began to take more and more classes, and with each class, it seemed to work out. So I have been licensed over 20 years, been with the city. I was the actually first finance director with the city here. So it's just been really exciting. I think it's a great career. Don't want to go into too much detail and bore you all. We're going to give you all a tour of the building, so I'm going to pass it over to Laura Taylor.
Good morning. My name is Laura Taylor. I'm the Director of Communications here at the City of Bonita Springs. I'm going to turn it to you first and ask how many of you know what you want to do when you grow up? Okay. What do you want to be? Okay. Heart surgeon. Nice. Very nice. Radiology. Very cool. Anybody want to tell us? Not yet. Not sure yet. Go ahead. Okay. Actually, we have that in our department. We love graphic designers. A doctor. We love doctors too, of course. An attorney. Yeah, we have one of those coming up next, so you can talk to her. The reason I ask you that question is, believe it or not, my journey, I feel like, started in 8th grade. As weird as that may seem. I had a teacher in 8th grade who talked to us about, what do you want to do? High school for me was connected to my junior high. Your guys' schools aren't connected, right? No, middle school is not. Okay. So for me, we only had to walk across the campus to the high school, but it was still terrifying for us at the time. So he kind of talked to us and he said, what do you guys want to be? And at the time, I really liked photography and video. And so we had radio and TV available at our high school. And he walked me over and he introduced me to a teacher over there. And I ended up staying with that for 4 years. My senior year, I ended up doing a segment on our community. We produced a monthly TV show once a month, and we got to go and interview different businesses in our community, different schools, different agencies, educational representatives, and that kind of started my path of really liking the community, dealing with the community, and then radio and TV, of course. I ended up moving here to Florida, and I went to Florida Gulf Coast University. I ended up getting a degree in communications, my bachelor's degree in communications. I ended up working for the NBA, totally different from radio and TV at that point, but in public relations. We had a developmental league here for basketball. Does anybody know about the NBDL leagues for basketball? No basketball fans here? Okay. So I was there for a few years, and then I actually started working at the Parks and Recreation Department. And we got to do things like plan skate park or skate events, skate competitions. We got to clean the recreation center gym. We got to take out the trash. We also got to put on some small events. We did things like one year we did a car show. I knew nothing about cars, but my boss did at the time. He loved car shows, so we got to do a car show. And then eventually I made my way over to City Hall. I had written a couple pieces in the newspaper just about our recreational programs, and the city manager at the time had actually earmarked those. And he would write at the top of it, like, "Great job, Laura, I really like this." And eventually they had a position come open in public relations, and they interviewed me for it, and I got hired over at City Hall. And that's where I met Arlene. Arlene was actually in my interview. And after a little while, Arlene was getting promoted, and they needed someone to take over the events. And so I got that opportunity, which was really cool, to do 4th of July, Holiday in the Park, Veterans Day. And from there, I just had the opportunity to grow. I ended up being able to build my own department, which is the communications department. We absorbed some other team members that were existing, and then also hired on some new team members. Right now, Caressa in the back, she'll wave. She doesn't like to public speak too much. I understand it. When I was first here, I didn't either. But she is responsible for planning this entire day. This is her 3rd government day. She planned for the other 2 middle schools. And then we have Antonio walking around here. You'll see him. He has the camera. He does our Channel 98. He does all the video and pictures for that. So our department now covers our website, the city app. We do things with handling the media and helping with city council for the media. We do the events still. We also have information technology, and just recently took over the facilities. So we're going to be doing assessments on our city facilities, as well as some major improvements in the future years. So, one of my biggest things to you right now is to make sure that regardless if you know what you want to do or not, that you're exploring, that you're getting involved in things. When it becomes time to do internships, definitely do those internships, as many as you possibly can, because a lot of times people will hire staff members from internships. And so always just be out there, trying new things, and I'm sure you'll get to where you want to go. But next I'm going to introduce Carly, and she is our staff attorney.
Good morning, everyone. I am the staff attorney here at City Hall. I don't have a single department. I work with all of them to try to keep them out of trouble. There are a lot of rules and regulations that the government has to follow, so I work with each one of them to help do their jobs according to the rules. My story, I'm from a farm in East Tennessee. I went to undergrad, didn't know really where I wanted to go after that, so I went to law school and ended up over here. I'm also a big advocate for internships. That's how I figured out that government is never boring. It's good that you liked your civics class. I can confirm. It's something different every day. That's what I have.
Morning, everyone. My name's Tony Backhurst. I am the Director of Neighbourhood Services, which is code enforcement and emergency management. There's a bunch of different stuff that we're responsible for. I originally come from London, England, and have our education system's very different, very, very different. We go from school, our school runs from the age of 4 till 16. So for me, I left school and I was a soccer player for a while. So I played soccer over there, and I always tell people I was so good at soccer that I ended up going into the military. So it was a pretty short career in the general scheme of things. Left to move to Canada, where I spent 20 years in the police. And then 12 years ago, I moved to the US with my wife and my son, who is in the same grade as you, but in Cape Coral. And we were just having a conversation earlier this morning with Councilwoman Karumba that the education system here, I can tell you, is phenomenal. Compared to what I have children in Canada and what I went through in England, the system here is absolutely unbelievable. It really is. And so you can do whatever you want to do in this country. You really can. So, I mean, with that, I'm going to hand it over to somebody who has a much more storied military career than I had, and it's Matt Feeney.
Good morning. I'm Matt Feeney. I'm the city's assistant city manager, as well as the public works director. I wear a couple of hats around here. I'll give you a little bit of my background. I don't know that it's storied, Tony, but I went to the University of Notre Dame and did ROTC, which is something you might learn about as you get a little older here in school. And by doing that, I was, when I graduated college, I was an officer in the United States Navy. I was a ship driver, lived in San Diego for a couple of years on a ship, and then actually had the opportunity to live in Japan for another couple of years and was in charge of hovercraft. Anybody know what a hovercraft is? So I was in charge of 6 hovercraft over there for a couple of years. Exciting, interesting stuff, things I never thought I'd see in my life. When I got out of the military, I went to work for a little small local government. I had no idea what it was. I worked for the town of Fort Myers Beach, just north of here, and had the fortune or misfortune of working there during Hurricane Charlie, which was a hurricane that came prior to Irma and did a lot of damage there. So I learned a lot of, gained a lot of experience in kind of disaster recovery and things like that. And then I went to work for many years for a private construction company. It took me all over the country. I lived in Kentucky for a couple of years. I lived in Austin, Texas, and got to see some very large construction projects and manage those and learn that side of the business. That brought me back. I am from here. I moved here as a kid and consider Fort Myers and Bonita Springs my home. So this opportunity came to come to the city of Bonita Springs and be its public works director. With my construction experience, it was a nice fit. And what I really like about working here is, as Tony said, and you've heard from others, every day is something different. When you work for a private company, you're usually working on the same thing day in, day out. You know, it might be a different location, but it's the same thing. Here, the challenges are unique. So in the role of public works, we're dealing with environmental restoration. We have projects that try to improve the water quality here in the bay. We do new roadways, to try and alleviate traffic congestion. We landscape the roadways. If you've noticed all the trees on Terry Street, the work that's going on there, that's us. And those are large, complicated projects that take a lot of coordination and thought. Recently, we've been working to get federal grants and work on flood control projects, which are a different animal unto themselves, but trying to prevent water from getting into folks' homes like we had during Hurricane Irma. Those projects take many years, but we're right now actually to the point where we're going to start being able to deliver some physical improvements. I kind of glossed over these things, but they're multi-million-dollar projects, each and every one of them. They're all have unique challenges, and day in, day out, when you come through this door, you don't know exactly what you're going to be dealing with, but you know it'll be something new, and it'll challenge you. And so that's what I find rewarding about this line of work. Thank you.
Order.
Oh, sorry, we're turning the volume on, or the sound.
That was so good, though. That was good.
Okay, you gotta do it again.
Practice
Okay,
round.
Do it again, Sophie.
Okay.
Do it again. Okay.
I would like to call the meeting to order. Miley, could you please lead the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes.
I pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment?
You want to do roll call?
Oh, I guess, sorry. We don't have a clerk.
Well, we could just
Go down the row and say your name and present.
start down here.
Oil present.
Present.
Noah present.
Isabella, present.
Bella present.
Miley, present.
Cooper present.
Jorge, present.
Alicia, present.
Maverick, present.
Is there any public comments?
I'm Kendall. I think we should have landscaping on Burnwood Drive, but lots of trees and flowers because it'll look nice. Yeah. I'm Iris, and I think we should have like colorful flowers like everywhere. Like they look really nice to me, and I think it would be better for the community.
I'm Maddie, and I just want to say I absolutely do not support the landscaping of Burnwood Drive. I think that it is terrible. I pay your salary, and I pay your salary, and honestly, the trees you're trying to put in, I've never seen an uglier thing in my life. Like, I pay your salary, and you're wasting it.
Oh.
Okay. BTW, the flowers are ugly.
BTW, the flowers are ugly. Further discussion?
Seeing none.
Seeing none.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Maddie, present.
No, you say yeah.
Oh no. A. I.
Mayor and council,
I.
point of clarification on the motion. Does that include an entire swing?
Did you make the motion?
Yes.
Say yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
I think that the government should be allowed to use drones if it's necessary, but if just regular kids and teens or anybody are using drones, it should be used on their own property.
I would like to open it up to council discussion.
Mayor, may I ask a question?
Yes.
How much would these drones cost with damages to the city? Maybe someone by accident was driving their drone and walked into a lake and got hurt. How much would it cost to repair the drone?
We're just so grateful to the city of Bonita Springs that we are able to engage with them in this endeavor. Our students are so thankful to have this opportunity, and the city has been so gracious in allowing us to come here today.